Welcome friends. We are revising homeopathic remedy Spongia tosta, and in that continuation we have reached to a part 4B3 remedy in verses by Dr. K.S. Bakshi. And here we are trying to compare these verses through the PQR from Allen's keynote, and we are going to recall it and compare it. And this is, I think, best for BHMS students, interns, general practitioners and students of homeopathy, or anybody who likes literature, particularly materia medica. I hope they will find some benefit out of it. I am Dr. V.K. Chauhan. So let us go to the forward, which we often repeat. A basket full of flowers I bring from the honeyman's garden. That is what Dr. K.S. Bakshi has to tell us. Remedies in verses to cheer you and hearten. They will sound sweet on reading or singing. In the chambers of your heart, they will keep on ringing and will get bound to your soul with bands of steel. How safe and strong in their company you will feel. So please remember that there are total 9 verses which entirely cover the remedy. The text is given in italics in the original print, suggesting that this work only has got very important uncommon symptoms, and many of these symptoms can be found in Allen's keynote, and that is what we are going to see, how we are trying to compare couplet by couplet, verse by verse through the Allen's keynote PQR. Let us go ahead, friends. The first verse is adapted to diseases of children and women, light hair, lax fiber and fair complexion. So if you see Allen's keynote, you will find it is the second line, and in the second line which we have given the PQR2, specially adapted to diseases of children and women, light hair, lax fiber, fair complexion. It tells us about the constitution, and that is of Spongia tosta. Second verse is croup, anxious, wheezing, worse during inspiration. This is the first line of couplet, and it comes from PQR 13, croup, anxious, wheezing, worse during inspiration. And second line is awakens in a fright and feels suffocation. It comes from PQR 4, awakens in fright and feels as if suffocation, as if had to breathe through a sponge. That you need to recall. If you are reading Allen's keynote repeatedly, the full sentence will brighten up in your mind. Verse 3rd, first line tells us dryness of mucous membrane of respiratory tract, and here it comes PQR 10, dryness, great dryness of mucous membrane of air passages, throat, larynx, trachea, bronchi, dry as if a horn. And second line tells us here everything is perfectly dry, no mucus rails. So PQR 11 tells us cough, dry, barking, croupy, rasping, ringing, wheezing, whistling, every type of cough is there. But here crepitations are lacking, wet sounds are lacking, rhonchi are there. Everything is perfectly dry, no mucus rails. What is the characteristic feature of Spongia tosta? Well, we go to the next verse. Verse 4 tells us cough dry like a saw driven through a pine board. Verse sweet dry cool winds and drinks cold. Let us go to PQR 12, and here we find symptom cough dry sibilant like a saw driven through a pine board, which is worse by sweets, cold drinks, smoking, lying with head low, dry cold winds, all aggravate. Even reading, singing, talking, swallowing which is better by eating and drinking. We go to verse 5. Cough is also worse reading, singing, talking, better warm things, eating and drinking. So already we have seen that particular part. This is the second part of PQR2, where aggravation, reading, singing, talking, swallowing, eating or drinking also comes from. So friends, we go to verse 6. Here there is a palpitation, violent with pain and grasping respiration, awakened suddenly after midnight with suffocation. This is cardiovascular system. Both systems are involved, respiratory and cardiovascular. And here it is given in PQR 14. It tells us about the palpitation, which is violent with pain and grasping respiration, awakened suddenly after midnight with suffocation. And what is the background? If you remember the Allen's keynote by heart, you will come to know. Because of valvular insufficiency, he is in ventricular failure, heart failure, and these are the symptoms which represent PND, paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea. It is cardiac asthma, more or less you can say. So let us move to next verse. And friends, it is here verse 7. The first line is thyroid gland swollen even with chin. And here it comes PQR 8, thyroid gland swollen even with chin. इतनी सूज जाती है कि गले के चिन तक आ जाती है. Anyway, we go to the second line, angina pectoris with heat, faintness and pain, and it comes from PQR 15, angina pectoris, contracting pain, heat, faintness, suffocation, anxiety and sweat, worse after midnight. Please remember, all symptoms of cough, respiratory are before midnight, they are aggravated, but cardiac symptoms are aggravated after midnight. We have verse 8. The first line is goiter or glands with swelling and induration, and here it comes reference PQR 3, swelling and induration of glands, goiter, specifically thyroid gland. And second line tells us worse after sleep or sleeps into aggravation, and here is the reference PQR 6, worst after sleep or sleeps into aggravation, like what we see lachesis. We have verse 9, after exertion, exhaustion and heaviness, swelling of spermatic cord and testicles with pain and tenderness. So here we find symptom PQR 16 or 16th sentence in Allen's keynote tells us spermatic cord is swollen, painful, testicles swollen, bruised, squeezed, but the cause is after suppressed gonorrhea or maltreated orchitis. So friends, thank you very much for your patient listening. You might have enjoyed the entire capsule, which is both way interchangeable in terms of an Allen's keynote and on other side beautifully represented by Dr. K.S. Bakshi, which is a poetic mind, perceived the whole text in a poetic sense and provided us to go through it so we can also benefit out of it. I am grateful to you that you have been listening to me so far, and thank you for your patience. Please share and care.